Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a disassembly and maintenance video for you on this little guy, and I don't know how I just screwed that up, but I managed to. This guy right here is the Terrain 365 Teravantium, what is it? Invictus-AT something or another. Look, it's a knife from Terrain 65, and it is in the Teravantium material. So what's interesting about this particular knife, among many other things, is it is the blade. The blade is made of a dendritic cobalt, which is not steel. It is decidedly not steel. It is, in fact, completely rust-proof and very, very unusual. I'm doing my best to give this a try, but I want to go on ahead and take it apart. And so to do that, it looks like we are in line for a flip-flop disassembly here. What I mean by that is it looks like I'm going to need to take off these screws as well as this one to take this guy fully apart, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. So that looks to be my life now. Let's go on ahead and start this. This is a knife that is going to take a little longer to review than usual, because I'm going to want to make sure and give it a little bit of extra carry, right, to get a sense of how this material actually works. Same thing the first time I had Van X, first time I had LC200N. You know, that's kind of the shtick here, and so I want to make sure that that shtick is, well, shticky. I don't know, worth a damn. If it'll stick around in your collection. Anyways, there you go. And of course, I'll go ahead and say this, even though I'm still going to get people commenting and DMing me, asking questions. But if you're ever curious about this driver or any of the other tools I use, go on ahead and check out nickshabazz.com/tools. You can find out more. But okay, looks like everything came apart neatly, and looks like everything is working. Oh, interesting. One thing that's worth noting is that this knife doesn't appear to have... No, it must have a stop pin somewhere, right? How the heck does this thing lock open, then? Oh, this is the stop pin, huh? He says with evidence right in front of him. This is an interesting construction where the backspacer itself serves as a stop pin on the open direction, and it serves as a stop pin in the closed direction, and that's okay by virtue of this groove that they have cut into the backspacer itself, which is probably why it feels a little unusual opening and closing it. That's not a bad thing, necessarily. It's not a judgment. I'm just saying it's a little unusual. Right, actually, every damn part of this knife is a little unusual. Material's unusual, everything. So let's go ahead and take this guy apart and check things out. One of the other unusual things about this is I actually, when I bought this guy, I got this guy brand spanking new. It came with a little bottle of this stuff here. We've included a bottle of specially formulated oil for titanium. In the unlikely event that your knife should start to stick when closing, clean off the tang, apply 1 or 2 small drops of oil, open and close the knife a few times until the stick is gone, all is good. So that's interesting, right? I've never heard of a titanium-specific knife oil. I guess this time I have. But, yeah, so I'll definitely give that a try, and I'll use that as lubrication instead of, well, anything else. But yeah, do we have a missing washer on the outside? No. We need a washer in here because the G10, because obviously you don't want to run bearings against ceramic bearings, in this case against a, resin sort of thing. It will quickly come to resent that. I don't know, that was bad, even by my standards. But either way, go ahead and clean this up. The internal construction-wise, pretty straightforward here. This screw goes... Okay, yeah, this screw needs to be put into here in order for the backspacer to be kept steady. It's actually kind of minimalist in its build, right? Because you've just got the one chunk of metal for the backspacer, right? The backspacer does, it's worth noting, have this nice groove cut into it there. It's a pretty groovy kind of construction. And as a result, look at this. Assuming this is titanium as well, and that seems a fair assumption. Yep, non-magnetic. No lock bar insert. Hardware appears to all be titanium. Yeah, this is, by the way, a very, very strong pair of magnets. Like, seriously. Yeah. So this appears to be, combined with the Teravantium, a knife that is designed from the ground up to be completely rust-proof. This is kind of the shtick, right? But it's nice to see how they're doing that. They're doing that by having just titanium on the one side, by not having a steel separate stop pin, etc. Ceramic bearings. Nice. Can't argue with that. But yeah, it's always curious to see something a little different. Like the design itself is actually remarkably similar, right? This is an old design. It is a design that has been around for a good while. But, you know, we've seen it before in things like the TAD, the Dauntless, as well as the Prometheus Design Works knife, whose name I cannot remember. Either way, it was PDW, and they are involved in this as well, obviously. Okay, what is the viscosity of this stuff? Like Vagnino wanted the oil, and somebody said, "Oh, what viscosity do you want?" And he just said, "Yes." Either way, or maybe it's just having trouble coming out of there at first. Go ahead and wipe that clean. Oh, and I'm throwing screws. Come on, get out of there, you little... Holy cow, is that viscous. All right. Well, we appear to be trapped in a viscous cycle. Okay. Clean this up here. That might explain the relative slowness of the action. I am always torn in situations like this. You know, I have lubrications that I particularly enjoy, and I think tend to work pretty well for your average pocket knife, right? But at the same time, when a maker hands you a lubricant and says specifically use this one, you know, I think that's also something that should be considered and perhaps respected. So it's like, I don't know. Do I test something new? For the moment, I'm just going to use the baked-in stuff. I figure that's the fair thing to do. And if I end up liking the knife, keeping the knife along, I'll probably try and, you know, supplement it with some other stuff. How did this go in? This part, I needed to unscrew the... Yeah, okay, got it. The way I know what direction this pivot goes in is because there's this D-shaped face on the front of it there. And that needs to go against, well, it needs to go into this little D-shaped slot there. So if I put the pivot in from the other side, it doesn't work that way. Things go all cattywampus, if you will. All right, and we have lost both of those screws, which is not stellar, but it is exactly what it is. Unlike the blade, which is stellite. That's right, this Terravantium dendritic cobalt blade. Like I said, I never actually used it before, so this will be new for me. But, you know, it is apparently a variant of like the stellite sorts of things. I want to say 6B as opposed to 6K, which other people are aware of, but it's interesting. It's very strange. My first impression of it, having just done some cutting with it out of the factory, so to speak, I'll go ahead and add a little bit to the tent ball hole here. There we go. Okay. Then this stop pin is stuck in the back frame here. We can go ahead and put this guy back in place. And, all right, should I bother Loctiting? Were these screws originally put in with Loctite? That's a good question. Yeah, there was. Okay, so I'll put a little bit of my Loctite on a stick here. The blue Loctite on a stick is what I generally use, and everything is falling apart again. That's good. You know, while I've got everything falling apart here, damn, I'm good. I'll go ahead and I'll take this screw out. Oh, now you want to go in. Great. Thank you, screw. Being very helpful. Yes, I just sassed a screw. Oh, I don't want to hear it. I'm going to hear it anyways. That's the joy of the YouTube comment section. I don't want to hear it is simply not a statement they're going to hear. But okay, anyways, I digress. Tighten that down. And I'm just loosely tightening. That's a weird statement to make, but I swear to you it's logical. Loosely tightening those in place so that way I can get the pivot kind of put in. So I'm using the blade itself to kind of rotate the pivot into place. Because right now the pivot is not properly rotated. And that as a result is, yeah, meaning the knife can't snap back down together. There we go. Come on. There it is. Now it's through. But you're not going to be able to get the pivot in there with the lock bar fully engaged because it's going to be pressing against the stop surface. Not a pin so much as a surface. It's not a judgment so much as a statement. All right. Well, that was easy enough. Like I said, construction was relatively minimalist and completely uncontroversial, right? No lock bar insert, but given the rust-proofitude, that makes sense. I don't entirely understand why they made all the decisions they did here, but that doesn't mean they were bad decisions. One thing, centering's a little off, and it's facing the show side, so that means it's probably not tight enough in the pivot. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's nicer, actually. Okay, right now there's a little bit of stick. Oh, stick's gone. This has a very satisfying thwack when you open it. That's probably a result of the stop pin being up against, well, the whole thing, right? There is work to be done on the acoustics of pocket knives, right? On the spreading of shock waves throughout these things and why some sound thunkier and bank vaulty and all these crazy things that we say. I am not the person to do that work because I do enough work with that on in my rest of my life, right? But it is definitely a thing out there. Some young acoustic student wants a dissertation that everyone will judge you for. There you go. There's your freebie. So anyways, there you go. Right now we are running great. A little bit smoother, a little bit nicer. Lockup is 100% rock solid. No problems at all. Yeah, beautiful. Can't argue with that. So, there we go. I'm going to throw this guy in the pocket and beat the crap out of it for a little while, and we'll see how it ends up working. Beat the crap out of it by Nick Shabazz standards. I can already hear people, oh my God, you don't even, your little hands. Anyways, I digress. I'll go ahead and give it some carry. We'll take a look at the full review later on, but hope this has been interesting to you nonetheless. Have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.